markets, a rotation out of the AI trade today. Micron leading the semis lower after its earnings report last night, taking the other chip stocks with it. Nvidia down over 2%, Qualcomm and Broadcom following suit as investors left the red-hot sector. Where do they go? Well, maybe, surprisingly, they didn't flee tech entirely. It looks like software names like Palo Alto, Palantir, Salesforce, and more, all posting strong gains. What does this rotation within this tech sector tell you? I mean, presumably it was always all the spend is going there to AI, and so therefore it's going to be pulled from software and SaaS, and so we just have a reversion here.
Well, I'll just say this. In the last couple of weeks since WWDC, Apple has been a huge beneficiary. The stock went from 192 to about 215, and when you think about that, I thought that was pretty bearish. Whatever the excitement was about Apple is that they weren't spending billions and billions of dollars on high-end GPUs to build their own models, and then they were going to get into. They've been actually licensing, or they're going to be licensing a lot of other folks. And when you think about that, okay, what are the use cases right now? And they're not very clear. I mean, to me, the monetization efforts. And there was an article in the Information today I thought was really interesting. It said, in a surprise, OpenAI is selling more of its AI models than Microsoft is. So when Microsoft reports in a month from now, if they're not given the goods, if they're not saying that all of this investment, $13 billion in OpenAI, and like the budget shift that they've had, right, towards selling these sorts of products and what it means for their enterprise customers, I think the whole trade, I think a lot of air comes out of it, to be very frank. And it won't be too different than what we saw from late July to October of last year. The S&P sold off about 11%, the NASDAQ a bit more. Stocks like Microsoft were down high teens, from those highs. So again, I think it's obviously a bit more severe now because there's been so much appreciation. Microsoft's up 47% from its October lows. You just do the math on a $3 trillion market cap company. It's pulled forward a lot of excitement about what they may do, how they may monetize these investments.
Do you think this was the start of a rotation?
Feels like, I mean, without question it was today, and I think it'll probably continue. I thought the rotation would be into energy and maybe healthcare. It obviously was in software. But throw Amazon in the mix as well, and those miserable Super Bowl commercials. One of them was this, what do they call it when you get a brain worm thing? Wasn't that Timo? Remember that whole, wasn't that a Super Bowl commercial?
Do you have one now?
I'm not constant. I mean,
hope not.
No, I don't.
Anyway, but yesterday was on Rivian. Today there was more news. I mean, Amazon very quietly is actually bucking some of the trend here.
Yeah, and to Nvidia, we know the story here. It's Microsoft, it's Meta, it's Amazon, it's Google, and it's Dell make up 50% of the revenues. And so in a month from now, we're going to hear from all of those companies. We're going to hear about their guidance. And Micron, make no mistake about it. I mean, this stock joined the party a few months ago. It had tremendous appreciation. They were telling a story how memory is going to be hugely popular or hugely important in these data centers and the like. Dell was also telling that story about servers. Both of those stocks got nailed after they gave guidance that wasn't better than expectations. And so to your point, Karen, it's like you have that sort of appreciation over a period of time. You have a multiple that's severely stretched at 13.5 times sales and, like 35 times earnings. It doesn't leave a lot of room for disappointment or not beating far better than what the consensus is.
Do you think that the ROI expectation also applies to Nvidia, though?
Sure. Listen, I'm going to tell you guys this. We're 5 pretty intelligent people who have, we know what, 4.5. You know what I mean? There's no use case in my life right now other than a little perplexity here and there of summarizing something for work or whatever. And that's not doing a whole heck of a lot because I have to check all the facts.
You're a consumer. You're not an insurance company that's using AI to go through a lot of paperwork. And
years away.
Oh, I'll take the other side.
Well,
Dallas Fed just did a survey of 400 companies in their region, and they found that 40% of them already are using AI on a daily basis, and something like another 10% plan to in the next 12 months. I think there are a lot of users out there across lots of different industries. I'm with you. Consumer-wise, what do I use? I use ChatGPT or Perplexity or one of those to make my life faster and easier.
Okay, there's going to be a huge data issue on one of these big enterprise companies. Everybody's going to pull back from it. The hallucinations, that this, that that. And I'm not saying that enterprise is using for that, but there's mission critical stuff that has to go. If you're going to adopt this sort of technology, you better make sure that it's working correctly. And that's what takes years. before there's mass adoption of it, before companies, the C-level suite, can say, yes, we're replacing thousands and thousands of employees.
Do you think we're priced for that right now?
No, we're not.
No.
To me, I think we're priced for it in 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we pulled forward. And it's no different than the excitement that we heard about how the internet was going to transform every industry. Like, this is 25 years ago. It's the same thing, people. I'm just telling you. So the enterprise thing, it's going to take a while to see that drop to the bottom line. And the consumer use cases, I think Apple has the potential to be the biggest fail when they release this 16 in the fall, because I don't think you're going to see an upgrade cycle based on what they showed us, especially given the cadence of the rollout of a lot of these products. I think it's going to be a 2025 thing. So, have at it, people.
Oof.